Well, welcome everyone to Steve Savant's Money, the Name of the Game. I'm your host, Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and money color commentator. On today's show, Wall Street, where the house always wins. Part 2 in our series on your retirement reality check with author, speaker, and investment advisor representative, Lindahl Lucas. Welcome to the show, Lindahl.
Hey, Steve. Thank you for having me. I love being here. Got a great setup here.
I really love you being here, but I'm disappointed that our title is Wall Street, where the house always wins. I'd like to win a few times.
You know what? Everybody likes to win a few times. In fact, actually, usually most people enter the stock market and they think that they're going to jump into the market. Everybody's going to hit a home run.
Right.
But the truth of it is that the market is set up kind of the same way. You could say there have been many analogies equating it to gambling. Mm-hmm. The truth of it is that nobody has the answers. Nobody has the right formula necessarily, but it's just trying to figure out what's going to be the best options and choice for us. So there's risk, and when there's risk, you have chances of losing.
Well, I noticed that going through 2008, I didn't like it, and neither did a lot of my baby boomer friends, and we understand that was a major hurt, and most clients, think about this, most clients did not recover till around 2015.
Oh, exactly.
So that's a problem. You take 1 year out, and it takes you 5 to 7 years to recover. Now, I want to, before we get into how these expenses break out, because we have to figure out how Wall Street wins, and there's a reason they're winning.
Yes.
I want to talk about inflation, because I just saw, and I have this sheet, and if you want it, you can order it at steve@lifesizesolutions.com. I'll give you the whole retirement all the way back to 1967 when I was a junior in high school and went to my first prom.
Okay.
I paid 31 cents a gallon for gas, about $20 for a tuxedo, $5 for corsage. I mean, it was nothing.
Yeah.
Now today, forget all that. My youngest kid, 5-6 years ago, he's paying way more than that. So inflation is a real reality, part of your reality gut check.
Exactly.
It is a reality, and it takes away the power of our purchasing dollar.
It is. And in fact, actually, in retirement, it's one of the risks that you have in retirement, along with expenses. Mm-hmm. It's along with taxes and everything else.
Now, so you just said something here. You said it's an expense, and I'm thinking, I don't think most people look at it like that, but it's coming right off the top.
They need to.
Okay, well, if you want the graph, I'll send it to you at steve@lifesizesolutions.com. Now, when I buy a mutual fund, ETF, any of these, and I have them in my portfolio still. Mm-hmm. There's a price tag for this, and in the prospectus, it generally cites the expense ratio.
Yes.
Okay.
And most people don't understand the expense ratio. And in fact, the expense ratio has all of the additional fees and charges that are in that fund. But most people don't take the time to read it, because what you're looking at is upwards of 4%. 4% additional cost.
Of all in.
Of all in, exactly. Yeah. Sorry about that.
All right, so let's say I'm looking at the according to the Forbes magazine with Ty Bernanke, CPAs, he did a big dossier and a kind of a disclosure a review on all these funds.
Yes.
He said the average expense load in the prospectus is about 90 basis points. I was like floored. I thought it'd be a little lower than that.
Yeah.
But it's about 90. But now you just brought up additional costs in what they call the statement of additional information, which is not in the prospectus and is not required to deliver to the client, which I was in shock.
Yes.
Where's the SEC on that? Mm-hmm. So I would say those numbers cite 12B trailers. They cite trading. They cite marketing costs. I did not realize it was so expensive, that one area, and nobody knows about it.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I think you're looking about, 1.44?
100, according to this article,
yes.
100. And you say, Steve, I want that article, and I'll send it to you at steve@lifesizesolutions.com. Ty Bernanke, it was in Forbes, killer article. And bring you up to speed. Okay, so when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at the nominal rate and have not put these charges or expense loads against it. So here's the real nominal rate of return, and I still have to take out these expenses. Okay. Now, you also bring up this thing, and sort of the article, this thing called cash drag.
Yes.
Now, see, talk to me a little bit about that. What is cash drag?
It's simple. And when you have funds in an account, say a mutual fund, sometimes not all the assets are in a stock. So they have actually liquid cash that's just sitting there, okay? And they're being charged, cash drag, they're being charged a percent to have it sitting idle.
Now, I know they have to have some cash position just because they have people that are surrendering or terminating taking a little profit off the top. Exactly. They have to keep liquidity in there. And I get that. I kind of get that. But when markets go really south and they get nervous, they start putting a lot more in cash. And I saw in the same article again in Forbes that it was 83 basis point cost just to be in a cash position because they're only crediting me, I don't know, maybe now 15 basis points, I don't know, against the total cost of the funds. And that bothered me that we're paying 83 points. Now, you said 4%. We're there now, and that does not include any taxes on a non-qualified mutual fund, and it doesn't include an RIA fee charge. We haven't got to that yet.
Exactly.
So tell me, when I'm looking at, there's the nominal rate, which is the gross rate of return of these funds, but then there's the real rate, which is minus all these. And by the way, if you want to throw inflation in there, there's a whole other issue.
Yeah, we won't even talk about that.
So walk me through a platform. You're an investment advisor, right?
Yes, I'm an investment advisor.
Okay, so you're charging fees too, right?
We do. Nobody does their work for free.
Right, and I've noticed that you're one of the few guys that actually disclose all this to your client.
Total transparency.
Okay. I got to say, you're one of the few then, because most guys, I found many registered reps and RIAs don't even know what I'm talking about when I say statement of additional information or the actual cash drag on a fund.
Exactly.
So those things to me are important. But now a fee. If I'm dealing with a contract, like for example, I would say the S&P 500 is the best example.
Yes.
The S&P 500 is a passively managed. I mean, there's no active management.
Yes.
It costs you a dime, maybe 20, based upon which one you're buying.
Exactly.
Pretty cheap entry into the market without any other expenses.
Generally is, and it looks that way.
So if I'm looking at funds, I don't mind paying it if the guy's hitting a home run. If the fund managers are doing their job, I guess I don't mind paying for it. But it's when we get into what I call just kind of an average, like since January 30th, 2018 till today, and we're broadcasting sometime in September, I'm looking at the sideways market, right? And it's been pretty sideways. I'm like, hey, they're still getting their pay, and I may not get mine.
The market's up, the market's down, they still get paid.
Yeah, see, I'd like to see more performance-driven by the actual funds, not so much the RIA or the registered rep that's helping you. But I would really like to see them kind of modify that when it's a bad boy year.
Oh, I would completely agree with you.
Okay, so it seems like the Wall Street, like you said, it kind of wins. It seems like they win all the time because they're getting paid all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I need to find out then what's my beta risk in the fund that I'm in. I got to do my risk tolerance test like we talked about in the first segment. But I also, sounds like if I understand, I actually have to know what these expenses are. So I already know going in what I'm going to have to make net of all these fees.
And if you can do that ahead of time, that would definitely put you in a better position to really understand your investment. But like you said, actually, most money managers, most stockbrokers, most investment professionals don't take the time to go over these additional areas of additional fees and costs that are in those type of accounts. So if you can do that, and if you can, and when I do that with my clients, they just feel so much better, at least understanding.
Now, just keep in mind, I hate to bring up the bad boy issues here, but think about this. If you're in a qualified plan, there's an additional charge for the admin issue. It could be 25 to 30 basis points. But I have people that in 2015 lost money in their funds. It was non-qualified. And then about a week after they got their end-of-year statement, they also received a 1099. I mean, Lindahl, I have a loser mutual fund, and I have to pay tax?
Yeah.
What's with that?
You know what? It's sad. It's scary. It's horrible. And when everybody sees that, they think, how did I lose money in an account? Why do I have to now pay taxes? Well, certain funds in the accounts themselves actually made money.
Made money.
And that's all it is. And they're passing that on to you.
To the end user. Okay, so you got to remember, people are just like, I've been in this game 35 years. I've been saying the same thing in November. You need to harvest your gains and your losses to mitigate your tax bill, right?
Yes.
But then we sit there in January, at the end of January, with a end-of-year statement and which shows a loss, and a tax bill for with a 1099. See, and most consumers look at this and they go, I just don't see that. So we have to anticipate, if you're non-qualified, you're going to be paying, you might be paying some tax even though your fund loses. And if you're on the qualified side, you still have to pay an admin charge for that. So just keep in mind, I got a net 4 to 5% just to hit even.
Oh, yes.
So just keep in mind, and again, inflation, if you want to throw that in, that's a whole nother issue. Listen, don't forget to watch our next segment on qualified retirement accounts that could lose up to 40%. Wow. Part 3 in our series on your retirement reality check. And keep in mind, before moving forward with any ideas on our show, always check with your tax consultant, legal counsel, or in this case, your financial advisor. You're watching Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game.